Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Thursday pregame show. And even though McDaniels got fired, no, Maddie is not in the black hole.
No, I'm sat by a river, and it's obviously midnight Thai time right now. So this is what it looks like outside when I do the shows, and I'm on a lovely balcony. And this doesn't keep my girlfriend awake because I don't have to do it in the same hotel room. So, it keeps me in the good books if I do it outside to the black hole instead.
Are you like on like the second, third floor or something?
No, this is like we're on the river, so you guys can't see it, but the river is just there.
So there is a chance that while we're recording, an elephant could sneak up behind you.
There is an elephant sanctuary about 20 minutes up the road from where I am. So yes, there is more of a chance that a monitor lizard could come out of the water, like a Komodo dragon could come out of the water and eat me alive is more of a chance. But, I'll try and watch out. If you guys could watch out for me on the camera, then that would be fantastic.
That'd be some good internet, though. That's some good content, man.
I mean, we have been talking about the need for subscribers and more views, and I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah, it's because I tagged you in that video of the elephant stopping traffic and stealing sugarcane off the trucks in Thailand.
Yeah. You do see that, not them coming out into traffic a lot, but you see the elephants around, which is quite cool.
Well, that video made me and my wife laugh because some of those elephants on that road have learned to stand in their road and they only come out for the sugarcane trucks. Stop them, steal some, and let them go. They charge a toll.
Yeah, they're really, 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 really intelligent animals. I went to a hotel once where they come down of their own will. Like the elephants basically come out of the jungle of their own will because they know when the tourists wake up. So they come down and then we can feed them all sugarcane and stuff. And then as soon as they see the sugarcane's gone, they're just like, oh, fuck it, I'll see you later then. And then just go back off into the jungle, which is quite nice because it means they're being trapped right. So that's lovely.
All right. Well, let's start with that. Josh McDaniels, Gonzo, out of Vegas. I thought it might happen not during the season. I thought at the end of the season. The only thing that made me wonder is because Mark Davis is, I hate to say this when it comes to billionaires, he's the poorest owner in the NFL. And so he doesn't like to pay dead contracts. But that team is fucking shambles. I don't think you can turn shit around now. And this is just my opinion, and let me know what you think. So it's reported last week that Davante Adams walked into the office and said, would it make sense for both of us to trade me? And they said, hell no. And I think Davante Adams wants out of there. And I think this might be Mark Davis's way of saying, we love you. We're going in a different direction. Watch this. And he kicks out the GM and the head coach.
Yeah, I think if you're taking away the GM from the equation as well, it's like a full admission that we've built a really shit team around this good, we got one good player, and it's Davante Adams. So instead of trading Davante Adams, we just get rid of the GM, we get rid of the head coach. They're bringing in the linebacker coach to be the head coach, so it's going to be an in-house job. I mean, that worked for them. That worked for them last time. They had to do an in-house job. I can't remember the name of the guy.
Rich Bisaccia, and that's why they should have fucking kept him. And he's the Packers special teams coach right now. Yeah,
they should have kept him. Maybe this guy will come in and do really, really well. I think if they traded Davante Adams, then that's just an admission that they're going nowhere this year. And then there's no reason for anybody to come watch them. They're in Vegas, which is new to that. It's still relatively new that they're in Vegas, right? So they're in Vegas. They need people to come watch them. Davante Adams is a reason to come watch the Raiders.
Well,
the Josh McDaniels sacking, it is on him, right? It is on him at this point. They gave him enough opportunities. They gave him enough players. They gave him enough. Say he goes in and says, Derek Carr can't handle my offense. And Derek Carr looked fucking lights out last week. They looked really good in the Saints. That could have been the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I don't think the organization liked how they treated Carr either on the way out, like, because there's other ways you could have handled that. And it seems like Belichick, McDaniels, some of these guys, and Belichick, I believe, will get it together, but some of these guys let the NFLs pass them by and didn't keep up with the times, and they had to regroup, and Belichick had to quick call up Billy O'Brien and be like, come save my ass, bring a modern offense over here. And I'm watching Josh McDaniels run the same shit he did with Brady fucking 8 years ago.
Yeah, or with Garoppolo 10 years ago. You know, like they're running the same shit, and it's not working as well. Like, you've got the same quarterback, you're trying to do the same thing, you're getting the same result. However, defenses have caught up with that. So trying to do the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different result, that's what we call insanity. And they didn't grow. And Josh McDaniels hasn't grown out of that, and he hasn't grown out of it since Denver. And I think people coming from the Belichick tree have this idea where it's like, we know what works. This has worked for Bill Belichick, so it's going to work for us. And that's just not the way it works. Be your own person. Be your own person.
Right. So I'm curious to see who they bring in. I have no idea. You better bring in a young offensive coach. That's all I'm saying. And I don't mean young as in like 30. I'm just saying you don't want a 70-year-old to come in and take over the team. And you want a guy who's probably coming out of one of those Kevin O'Connell, fucking Mike Shanahan, or Kyle Shanahan, McVay, even Sirianni. You want somebody under those guys who are, going to be more modern with their offense, a lot of motion, a lot of movement. And I like the term that Kevin O'Connell uses. You want a guy who's going to bring in the illusion of confusion.
Yeah, I think if the Chargers are convinced that sticking with Brandon Staley is a good idea, then Kellen Moore can step up. I think it's time that we could, like, Kellen Moore has been in the running for a head coach job for 3-4 years now. So I think it might be time for him to step up.
Do you give him one? Because he, according to everybody, he was the problem in Dallas. And I keep hearing he's the problem in fucking LA. So but you know how the NFL is, the owners. Are they going to risk on a guy that the talking heads are saying is the problem? Because then you just get beat up in the media, and Mark Davis gets beat up in the media enough. So I wonder if a guy like him would even take a risk on him.
Yeah, I think they only said that Kellen Moore was the problem in Dallas when they came out. And I think this is the first time. I'm sure we'll talk more about the Cowboys in next Sunday show, or maybe later in this show. But the first time that the Cowboys loosen the reins and make it a bit more of a Kellen Moore offense, Dak Prescott looks fucking great again, so I don't think that Kellen Moore was the problem in Dallas. I think it's very convenient for them to say that Kellen Moore was the problem in Dallas because Mike McCarthy is a problem of some sorts in Dallas. He's doing much better than I gave him credit for when he first started the job, so I don't want to slag him off too much. So I would want to give Kellen Moore the job. I would want to give Kellen Moore the job in LA is where I would want to give him the job. But if the job's not there for him, then that's who I would pick.
All right. Well, let me get this off my chest. Let's just go to the Vikings, because I am fucking still pissed off that they traded for Josh Dobbs. And they traded away Ashley Cleveland, which I'm good with, but we got to put that information out there too. But for Josh Dobbs, they give up a 6th, and they get Josh Dobbs and a 7th back in return. And he's fucking trash. So I just don't get it. I know they need a backup quarterback, but why trade? If you're just going to get a backup quarterback, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, fucking Colt McCoy, like, there's a million guys out there that you could call up and go, hey, come in and fight for this starting job.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have Carson Wentz as your backup. Carson Wentz is one of those guys where it's a bit difficult to have him as your backup quarterback in the same way that Cam Newton was.
But you just tell them they're coming in to compete, and then you just let the rookie keep starting.
I'm surprised by this take on Josh Jobs, and we've
You
spoken
mean
about it throughout the
You
day.
mean Justin Fields?
When
Less
you
athletic
have
Justin
the
Fields.
when you have the stats to back it up, I actually don't disagree with you too much. I just hadn't thought about it in this way. How I'd thought about it is
He is a little bit better
Josh
than
Dobbs
Fields.
he's a great guy in the locker room. The Cardinals are playing much tougher football than we expected them to do, and sometimes he does look really good. When you then compare him to Justin Fields, you're like, oh shit, yeah. I'm describing Justin Fields right now.
Okay, so yeah, rushing. They both had 47 attempts. Dobbs has 258 yards, Fields 237. So a little bit better. 3 touchdowns to 1 touchdown. Dobbs had 7 over 20. Fields only had 1. When it comes to passing, completions, 167 for Dobbs, 100 even for Fields, but their passing percentage is almost identical, 62 to 61. He's got a little more passing yards with 300 more yards, but he has 104 more attempts. And yards per pass, and Fields is actually better. Fields has more touchdowns, 1 less interception. The only thing he's got going for him is he gets sacked a whole lot less than Fields.
How much of Josh Dobbs's poor stats come down to receiving options?
I don't know.
Compared to Fields, where it's the excuse that I've made for Fields for a while, and now I'm sick of the excuse because he has DJ Moore now and is still just missing the throws. Although his receivers don't help him out too much either. With Josh Dobbs, how much is it that he has poor receivers? If you put Josh Dobbs in an offense and said, hey man, this is how we run this offense. You've got Justin Jefferson over here, you've got Addison over here, and you've got KJ Osborne right there with a backfield of Cam Akers and Alexander Madison.
Don't forget Hawkinson.
Distribute the ball. Oh, TJ Hawkinson as well, of course. Distribute the ball. Make sure we're staying ahead of the sticks. Don't get sacked. If the play isn't on, tuck it and run. Do not think Josh Dobbs can do that element of the game.
Maybe, but here's the big question. Can you win a Super Bowl with Josh Dobbs?
No. You can if you're the Vikings get to the playoffs with Josh Dobbs this season.
You can't win one with Josh Dobbs. Stop it. Like, he is not a good enough quarterback to carry you through the playoffs.
With the schedule that the Vikings have got, I think Josh Dobbs with your receiving options and your offensive options, and don't forget Brian Flores has your defense actually playing defense finally.
But it's the goal to make the playoffs or win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. If you're in the playoffs, you have a chance, and you keep things like the culture right. Like, the culture is a winning culture. You keep things right. Now, it's not to say that also Jared Hall can't do all of these things, by the way, as well, because what I've described there is the basics of being a fucking quarterback in the NFL. So if your rookie can't do that, then he's not the guy either. Yeah. So there's people who can do that. You can just pull off the streets pull off the streets in NFL terms, i.e. Matt Ryan, if he still wants to play football, Colt McCoy, if he's still around and stuff like that, who can do this. So trading for Josh Dobbs, mistake. The actual thought of Josh Dobbs in the Minnesota Vikings offense, I don't hate it.
I do. I fucking hate it. I absolutely hate it.
If he was a free. If he was on a free.
If he was a free agent, I'd still hate it.
You'll still make the playoffs with Josh Dobbs as your quarterback.
Which is worthless. It's the
point.
opposite of what you should be doing. Like, so if you make the playoffs with Jaren Hall, great. Now you know you have something in this kid. So that was worth pissing away your draft position. Josh Dobbs is not worth pissing away draft position to pick 20 fucking third. And I know that, okay, so I love this, but it came out yesterday that the Vikings and Kirk Cousins are talking about a 2-year, $60 million extension fully guaranteed. Do it. Do it tomorrow while his fucking foot is still falling off. I don't care. Do it. Sign him 2 years, $60 million, fully guaranteed. That's $30 million a year. That's perfect. He's coming off an injury, which I think helps the Vikings in the negotiation. We know JJ fucking loves him. Like, Kevin O'Connell has been talking him up so highly. And I think he was leading the league. Like, for me, he was the league MVP so far this year. So you bring him back. He was
the best quarterback in the NFC. You can't have him as the league MVP at 4-4, but he will have become the league MVP because they would have won all of their games.
The MVP does not always go to the best team, though. That's the thing. So if they make the playoffs with Kirk Cousins playing the way he is, he's got a great argument for being MVP. And he was playing as the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
I think we all heard that. It goes into what we were saying. It goes into what we were saying in the last show where we said, if you started the NFL at the start of this season, nobody has any memories of any of these quarterbacks. It's just, we start the NFL this season. Your top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL are Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff.
I would have said Tua, but I don't have a problem with Goff. Okay. I would have said Tua, but I don't have a problem with you saying Goff.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing, though, that you brought up Goff, because he is balling. The sad thing about the NFC North is the Vikings literally just traded for the second best quarterback in the division. He's better than.
So you still have.
He's better than Jordan Love. The numbers prove it. And he's probably a hair better than Justin Fields. But it still's not the right move. We talk about process all the time. This is the complete wrong fucking process because the coach and the GM want to make the playoffs, but for the best betterment of the fucking team, you see what you have in the rookie, and if you make the playoffs, great. But if you don't, you just get a better draft selection so you can, in a deep quarterback class, move around if you have to or stay put, get a quarterback to sit behind Kirk for another 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's always tempting when you've gone through the difficult part of the season and you've come out fine at 500. You've come out, you look like you were falling off, but you've come out and you've done all of this work. And I think you get very I think there's a lot of emotion that has gone into the Josh Dobbs decision rather than thought. I think they've gone, oh fuck, like we had the opportunity. It was there. Kirk was there. Is there a guy in the NFL that we can take? Why do you think the Cardinals were so happy to take him when they've got Kyler Murray coming off?
Because they were
so happy to get rid of him.
They cut their whole quarterback room a week before the fucking start of the season and then signed Dobbs. They were tanking.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like the fact that they were willing to give Josh Dobbs away, who has played decent ball for the Cardinals, considering the Cardinals. Like he's played decent. Like his stats don't show it, but not everything is about the stats. They were willing to trade Josh Dobbs away when Kyler Murray is coming in, who is a quarterback who has an injury problem and a personality problem. And they were still willing to trade Josh Dobbs away for a 7th round pick.
I'm not going to lie. There was rumors I shouldn't say rumors. There was talk by talking heads. Should the Vikings trade for Kyler Murray? Thank fucking God they did not trade for Kyler Murray. I am because you know what it would have cost you and then his contract, and he's not good enough to give up all that. But here's my question for you. So Dak Prescott, your Cowboys are say 5-3. Dak Prescott's fucking ankle falls off again. Do you want them to sign Josh Dobbs, or are you just like, fuck it, let's go get us a new quarterback in the draft?
Well, luckily for us, we have the amazing, who all Dallas Cowboy fans think should be playing right now, Trey Lance.
I actually wish the Cowboys would have called. I wish the Vikings would have called the Cowboys and said, "What do you want for Trey Lance? We'll give you a third."
Do you know what? I was going to message you saying, "What do you think about Trey Lance?" And then was like, he might just laugh that off. I don't want to upset him any more than he's already upset. So then the next day, I'd text you saying, Justin Fields and Kyler Murray.
I think he was a better shot to see what he's got than Josh Dobbs. We already know what Josh Dobbs is. He's played for almost a third of the league. The Vikings are either his 8th or 9th team. I know that he's played for 8 teams. I don't know if that's including the Vikings or if the Vikings are his 9th.
He's only really played for the Titans and the Cardinals, though, and been given a fair shot.
He played for the
And if you
Browns
take
too.
the Browns. If you take the wide receiver rooms of those three teams, you understand. But it's the process. It's the process, and I hate when teams fuck up the process. And do you know what? I was getting emotional because I felt sorry for you about losing Kirk, but actually, this is so much worse for your team in the long run to have Josh Dobbs. Then, like, I hate when teams fuck with the process in the same way that, yeah, Bill Belichick got his offensive lineman that he wanted in the draft. What the fuck? Cole Strange in the first
Dude,
round of the draft. And you
I
always
still
say,
thought
get your first round pick if you love the guy, but the fucking guy could have been gone in the third, and you could have weapons in New England now.
and I know I said this before, but I know you remember. I was talking about the Vikings drafting Strange in the third or fourth round before that draft, and he went in the first round. And I remember we both texted each other at the same time. I don't remember the exact words, but it was kind of like, "What the fuck?" during the draft.
It's like, it was just like you could have got him in the third. Like that's all it was. And it was, I hate it when teams fuck up the process. I really, really don't mind when teams are shit, but they've done everything right, and it's just bad luck, And it's just like, so the Colts have done everything right, bless him. Like the Colts have done everything right. They've taken the guy and they've gone, do you know what? Like, this team is actually much better than we ever thought it was going to be. And then Anthony Richardson gets injured, so you can't utilize him at all. And now we don't know what the Colts are again. So after fucking everything up during the offseason, the Colts have then done everything right since the start of the season. And unfortunately for them, the wheels are unfortunately for them, like, injuries happen and things like that.
And also the problem I have,
This
and
is
I'll
just
leave
bad
it.
process.
I'll leave it on this. I know that they gave up a sixth and got a seventh back, so you still have the draft picks, and we'll get to Ezra Cleveland in a second, who they traded for that sixth round pick. So the thing is if Jaron Hall throws one interception, the fan base is going to be screaming for Josh Dobbs, which is going to be the dumbest fucking thing ever. And that's what bothers me. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. You should have just seen what you had in your rookie. And if he was good, good. If he wasn't, then you need a new quarterback, and you go get one to sit behind Kirk as long as you get that extension done. And like I said, coming off an injury, it's going to be a lot easier to get Kirk extended. So in the long run, maybe it's a blessing, but I just hate the fact that fucking happened, and that I hate the Vikings are even in this situation. But I would ask you, because you and I talked about it a little bit before we started recording, Ezra Cleveland to the Jags.
I find it a strange pick in terms of process when you pick Josh Dobbs up anyway, in terms of getting rid of a young offensive lineman. But when you have the guy who's playing decently for you, and what did you get in return for Cleveland?
A sixth.
A six,
He's originally a tackle, and so I know he wants to move back out to tackle. He's been playing fucking ass at guard, and he's a free agent. So that move makes sense. You get something for him. Dalton Reisner replaced him. The offense line looked great since Dalton Reisner's been there. Ed Ingram has turned the corner and became a real right guard. So and people want to shit on Bradbury, but he's literally one of the top 5 centers in the NFL when healthy the last 2 years. So that Vikings fans need to calm down about that. Their line is fucking set right now. Their line is set. They look great the last few weeks. Dalton Reisner was huge, so you got to just make sure you extend him, and that offensive line is fine. I don't have a problem with the Cleveland trade. I just want to know what the Jags are going to do with him too, because to me it looks like he's just a depth piece for the Jags, and he's going to sit the bench.
Yes, like, why are you trading for swing offensive linemen at this point? And you're like, what's the need for? But also, you do have the problem of, in the league currently, offensive line depth is a massive issue. So is it worth? Because Cleveland is serviceable, a serviceable offensive lineman, considering how the NFL works now.
Maybe he'll be better if you move him back to tackle. It's a whole different position. And people think because you play one position on the line, you can play them both. But it's different. Everything happens. When you're a guard or a center, everything happens quicker than if you're a tackle, because those guys are right there. And so everything happens quicker. Hand placement is different. Foot placement is different. So maybe he'll be better if you move him back out to tackle. I don't have a problem with them getting rid of him, and it was just one more of Rick Spielman's bad draft picks that you got rid of because you got a new regime. Okay. But I don't know what the Jags are going to do with them unless they're just worried if one of their guys get injured, they don't have anybody to play. And they have a real shot of winning their division. They have a real quarterback under center. They have a great coach. They have a bunch of weapons. So maybe that's it. They're looking at the long run for the playoff run.
Yeah, they have a really good chance of being the first seed in the AFC, like as well. So
did you know that they have the longest winning streak in the NFL right now at 5 games? The Jags.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Like after the Chiefs got beat, like it's pretty wild. But
hey, we got lucky by the way. We forgot to pick the Chiefs game. And that thing went completely sideways. So we got actually blessed on that. We forgot. I overlooked it. I was the one controlling it. And somehow I completely skipped that game by accident. And it was a blessing.
I think we just overlooked it because we probably thought that the Chiefs going to win. But we could talk about that another time. But the Jags have a real shot to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. It kind of shows that no team has stood out as the best team. Like when I messaged you this weekend and said, who's the best team in the NFL right now? Like, who is it? We don't know. So many teams have issues. So many teams have had injuries. And so many teams have been beaten by teams they should never have been beaten by.
And then, so the Packers trade Rasul Douglas to the Bills. What do you think that was good for the Bills? He's decent corner. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think some corner depth to help the Bills out. I think the Bills are an organization that always seems to come under fire with injuries. So I don't hate the just having guys at corner. He's a good corner. So you push the people that he's replacing further down. The way that the Bills play, it looks like they're going to be getting into a decent amount of shootouts this year. So a deep cornerback room is going to be good for them. I also think, have the Packers kind of gone, okay, let's fire sale and see what we have. Let's see what we can get done in the draft in terms of our quarterback position.
So they're swapping 5th round picks for a 3rd. So they give up a 3rd and get the Bills give up a 3rd. The Packers give up a 5th and Rasul Douglas. So not a bad trade for the Packers, who are definitely in a rebuild. You get a 3rd round pick for a guy that you're not sold on.
Yeah, definitely. And they can leverage that pick to make moves in a deep quarterback class, which it looks like they should be going back to the well for quarterback.
My neighbor is the biggest Packer fan in the world, okay? And he was literally out doing yard work in the 3rd fucking quarter of the Vikings game. He was so mad, right? He quit watching the game. And we were talking. And his whole thing was Jordan Love's gotta fucking go. And that's what I keep hearing from every Packer fan. Like, Jordan Love's gotta fucking go.
Yeah. If I'm the Packers, I'm doing everything I can to stack draft picks in order to get a quarterback. Because they're also not a free agency destination, so they better fucking make sure that they have a fucking good quarterback there to attract players. If they get Caleb Williams, do they then become able to attract players?
Well, if you're in your 30s or above, Green Bay is a wonderful place to live. If you're a 23-year-old with millions of dollars, this is not the place you want to be.
Yeah, and I think it's just like if you get a big name quarterback, then do a few wide receivers also go, okay, let's see what this guy's got. And if he's got it, then they come in. The only reason that the Packers have been able to build anything is because of history and like their amazing history, Lombardi, obviously, and then because of Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
And I'm not convinced that Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the draft right now, but we'll talk about that more. This camera gets weird on me sometimes, but whatever. Let's stay in the NFC North and let's talk about the Bears giving up a 2nd round pick, which is going to be super high 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat So the Bears have all that free agent money, all those draft picks, and they don't do anything. And me and you have beat them up to help beef up their defensive line. Now they make a move to beef up their defensive line with a veteran player, but they gave up a second-round pick.
They fucking spend all of their money on linebackers and one wide receiver, which the wide receivers made them look better offensively, so that's okay. Right. So they fuck it. So they do that, and then they have an offensive line that gets everybody who plays behind it sacked immediately. No matter who you are. Obviously, Justin Fields doesn't help that because the guy holds on to the fucking ball for a day before being able to read a defense and throwing it away. So you don't help on the offensive side of the ball. You've crushed Justin Fields before you've even had the opportunity to go. And then you pick up Montez Sweat, who was a first round pick however many years ago now. The first round pick. Depreciation in football players exists, right? In the same way as it does with cars a little bit. Like with age, you become lower and lower and lower in the pick. So not with everybody, but my main issue is, and we'll talk more about this when we come to Chase Young as well, what has that Commanders defensive line shown you that makes us think that they're worth these draft picks and makes us think that they're going to make all of the difference, especially on a Bears team that have no chance of winning anything anyway?
Right. I'm trying to look up to see exactly how old he is right now. He is only 27. He is in line to get paid, so you're going to have to give him a big contract. I don't know if I don't hate the move, but was he worth the second round pick and the big contract? I don't know. But part of that feels like it's pulls in them trying to save their jobs.
Yeah, I hate this pick for them. But for the betterment of the team, maybe. Yeah, I always forget about the job saving aspect of these kind of things, but for the betterment of the team, I mean, does it make them better today? Yeah. Yeah, probably. Like, their biggest problem is they haven't been able to get any pressure on opposing quarterbacks whatsoever. That's their big
Do you
defensive
fuck up your
issue.
chance at the first overall pick again too by trading for him?
I wonder if he does make that much of a difference. Like, how many points difference does Montez Sweat
Yeah,
make
but
to the Bears?
one big sack that wins you a game could knock you out of that first overall pick.
Yes, but they are also going into games like where they're 7-point dogs, and is Montez Sweat worth a touchdown? Like, maybe across the whole season, maybe. And maybe like one game it comes out big. However, what I want is, I don't care what happens. They're going to be picking in the top 5 of the NFL draft come this year. Come draft time, they're going to be picking top 5. So then they're going to have the top 5 pick, and that second round pick is going to be a fucking top 5 in that round. And you can get stellar pass rushers at that place in the draft. Like, stellar pass rushers come out of the second round, top of the second round all of the time. So,
and I know
and I also don't know what Montez Sweat has shown to make us think that he's a big game changer either.
Well, to me, he's the best defensive player on the pretty good Commanders team the last couple of years, but or a pretty good defense, I should say, not necessarily the team, but they do have the Carolina's first round pick too, but you're going to need a quarterback. Justin Fields is obviously not the answer.
Yeah, I think they do have the position to move around for a quarterback, but I think they just have so much other shit that they need to fix as well. Like, no matter what quarterback you put in that offense, I feel like they're going to be fucked. So you need the draft picks to go towards fixing the offense, not towards going and creating the 85 Bears, which is the trap that they've been stuck in for. I know it's an easy trope to say, or the Bears are picking loads of linebackers because they want to rebuild the 85 Bears again and again and again. But it is what it looks like a decent amount of the time because they don't spend their draft picks on offense to actually help.
Well, another guy the Commanders traded away, and I know he hasn't balled out since his rookie year, but the rich kind of get richer because the 49ers give up a third-round pick for Chase Young, who gets to sit on the other side of the line from Joey Bosa, Hardgrave in the middle. They got a huge rotation they can roll through. And the 49ers on a 3-game slide were like, fuck that, we're doing something because we're going to make this team better and we're going on a run. I actually like this trade. This is the trade I like the most yesterday.
This is the trade I like the most for the player. I think the player goes to a situation where I think Chase Young goes to a situation where he can almost fix his reputation a little bit. I think I sit here and you just said that the Commanders are a pretty good defensive team. Over the past couple of years, we've been told they're a pretty good defensive team, but I'm not really sure how much we have seen of them being a really good defensive team.
If they had
it could
any
be because
kind
of
offense, I think people would look at it completely different because their defense at times is just monstrous.
Yeah, you have the they led the league in takeaways for the first 4 weeks of the season, I think, and now have dropped off really, really quickly, despite apart from a game where they played against the Giants and conceded 14 points. But and you're thinking, oh, my offense needs to be able to get games. So it's not that they're terrible. It's just I'm not sure what Chase Young has shown me recently since he had a big injury in his rookie year. I'm not sure he's shown me that pop. I'm not sure he's shown me that ability to get to the quarterback. He's also had Montez Sweat opposite him, which Montez Sweat is one of the although I've just slated him, he's still one of the better players in the NFL in terms of defense. So it's not like he's going from somewhere where he's the only focal point of the defense to a new place. However, obviously Nick Bosa is better than Montez Sweat, and you have Hargrave in the middle. So I feel like Young is going to pop off. The issues for the 49ers isn't their defense, though. That's where the issue for the 49ers is their injuries, as always.
Right. Well, there is some news that came out just 4 hours ago. The Bears have fired their running back coach, David Walker. The two added the team's HR department was involved. Was due to workplace behavior. He had previously been reprimanded by HR, and his second transgression ended up getting him fired. So I'm not sure what happened because they're not going into depth, but the Bears have fired their running back coach.
How does the head coach's job not come into question now? Because you're the person who sets the culture in that situation.
Your DC gets fired for doing some scumbag shit, which we're not 100% sure what happened, but there's still rumors that there was child pornography involved. I do not know if that's true. I just know there's rumors. But obviously he did some scumbag shit because the FBI raided his house. He gets fired. Now the running backs coach had 2 transgressions, ends up getting fired. It's a bad culture. It's a really bad culture.
Really bad culture, which again adds to the Justin Fields never had a chance argument. However, obviously hasn't proved himself, so we can't say that he's a good quarterback at all. But it's time to just blow it up in Chicago, which then again adds to the why the fuck are we trading away a second-round pick? Why are we not just
why are we not
up and just starting again?
Why are we not paying our young stud cornerback like that too? Okay, but
yeah, that tire fire.
Oh, well, it was a weird day because they were like, oh, no real trades expected. And then right about an hour and a half before the trade deadline, it was like, do. We had some trades.
That's what, soccer transfer deadline day is like.
For fuck's sake, man, quit calling it soccer. All right, I had to go to my Green Street again.
You need to have the NFL needs to have a show that and NFL Network, give us a call whenever you want. That's fine. Needs to have a show that starts at 8 a.m. in the morning and goes until the trade deadline, all the way up until with a countdown clock, and you just talking the trade deadline all day, and
I
just
love how you
starting
shot for the
like
moon.
the
So
vibe.
let me do it. Bring it down a little. CBS Sports. If you need somebody, call us.
Fucking Barstool. If you need somebody, like, callers, that's maybe more. Maybe that's more where we're at.
I don't know if I would do it, but Dave Poirier seems like a guy. If you piss off, you're out of there quick. So you got to watch yourself when you're at Barstool. But that's another good thing
exposure.
But it's another good thing about being the sole owner now that he has sole ownership over Barstool, is that if he doesn't like something, he can get rid of it when he's the guy who built it up. But I digress. All right, Maddie, you want to talk about the game that they're putting on for us on Thursday, the barn burner of a game, the Tennessee Titans at the Pittsburgh Steelers?
The Tennessee Titans, possibly the biggest story of this game, is the Tennessee Titans do have Derrick Henry.
And Will Levis balled out 4 touchdowns.
And Will Levis, the Tennessee Titans are an exciting team now. They have Derrick Henry, they have DeAndre Hopkins, and they have Will Levis, who is the second coming of Peyton Manning, clearly. Our fantasy league, kind of basically everybody in our fantasy league wanted Will Levis, and Jay got him.
I needed him. My quarterbacks have all died this year, so
Brock Purdy's on a bye and playing like shit. So that's what I've got at the moment. But I digress again. I mean, the Steelers as a organization need to sack their offensive coordinator. And until they sack their offensive coordinator, I can't take them seriously as a contender in any single game, because I just don't think they can move the ball effectively with Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator.
You got to go back when you get time and watch yesterday's episode of Pat McAfee. So they all dress up in costumes for Halloween. Tone Diggs is the biggest Steelers fan in the world. He dresses up as Matt Canada, but as Matt Canada as the devil. It was hilarious because he just hates Matt Canada. So he dresses up with Matt Canada as the devil. The crazy thing to me is the Steelers are favored in this game by 3 points.
The Steelers' highest scoring game this season, they scored 26 points. 26 points is the most points they've scored this season against the Cleveland Browns, which, I mean, good. If you're going to do it against the defense, you do it against the Cleveland Browns defense, to be fair to them. But 26 points is the most points they've scored this season.
Can we say
Titans?
Can we say it's time to move on from Kenny Pickett too? Because I think that's already proven.
I hesitate to move on from Kenny Pickett while Matt Canada, the guy has fucking no motion to.
I didn't like him coming out of the draft though, so it kind of just doubles down on my feelings on him.
Yeah, I think with Kenny Pickett is a fine
backup.
Kenny Pickett, if he's your backup, you're happy. If he's your starter, you're looking for somebody else. That's where you're at with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has the potential to be a really good quarterback if his wide receivers can be in motion. You know what I mean? Like, if they come up with anything on the offensive side of the ball to get George Pickens the ball, he has a weapon. Like, that's the other part of this. Quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, you say normally, oh, he doesn't have any weapons. He doesn't have this, doesn't that. Najee Harris, who looks slow as fuck, but Najee Harris and George Pickens, dude has weapons. So is it Kenny Pickett? You just watch the games and you think, fuck me, Matt Canada can't run an offense.
I mean, they do have some weapons.
But yeah, so you're not only fucking yourself in terms of a boring, dull offense that can't move the ball, you're also fucking yourself in quarterback evaluation by not moving off Matt Canada. Because you don't know if Kenny Pickett is any good. What we have found out is that Kenny Pickett can't overcome a poor offensive coordinator, but there aren't many quarterbacks who can. That's what we found out.
Yeah, Matt Canada might be the worst right now in the NFL too. Like the worst.
Yeah.
See, even you trying to think
difficult.
means he is one of the worst, no matter what. Just try to think of somebody worse.
Yeah, well, considering he was being compared in the same breath with Matt Patricia last year, kind of shows that he's terrible. Like, does that not like the defensive guy who was in charge of the offensive coordinating for the worst offense that I've ever seen in the New England Patriots last year? Matt Canada was not that far behind in conversations about the worst offensive coordinator, and it's his job to be an offensive coordinator. That's where we're at with Matt Canada. The Titans, how much do we look into Will Levis's first performance, and how much credit do we give Will Levis in that first performance?
Okay, I give Will Levis 100% credit, but does that prove anything moving forward? No. Like one great start or one great game doesn't make you an NFL quarterback, but you can't ask for a much better start than 280 some yards, 4 touchdowns. But he was smart. Like, no, for some reason, Ryan Tannehill did not just want to toss the ball up to D-Hop and let him go get it. Will Levis said, fuck that, watch this, and just was throwing it up to D-Hop and letting D-Hop just go get it.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a question about Will Levis's arm talent.
Or his
That's
balls.
one of the things coming out where, the guy is an exciting dude, and it's like, I will just throw this fucking thing up. What he's shown, in the same way that Kenny Pickett has shown that he can't overcome a bad offensive coordinator, which again, not a lot of quarterbacks can, is that Will Levis has shown that he can ball out as long as he has one of the best wide receivers in the league. And I think we forgot that DeAndre Hopkins was one of the best wide receivers in the league and playing for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, it's because between Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill, nobody wanted to throw him the ball. And Aaron Rodgers made a good point on his interview yesterday. He said, I don't know this for sure, but I wonder if D-Hop just went up to him and said, look, Rook, just throw me the fucking ball.
Yeah, and I think
if you're a rookie quarterback and D-Hop says, just throw me the fucking ball, you better just throw him the fucking ball. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you also have the thing of, like, nobody's going to be mad at you, Will Levis. Like, nobody expects anything from you at all. So go out and just fucking close your eyes and see what happens.
And it's going to help Derrick Henry.
So Derrick Henry ran for 101 yards, which again is a So you know how now that Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo
I know,
play with each other, that's the most lethal pick and roll anybody's ever seen. Like, that pick and roll combination is foul. A play action combination of a quarterback with a gun of an arm, Derrick Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins is like, if I'm the Tennessee Titans, I don't need to call a play at the huddle. I'm running play action every single play. Like, or play action or a run. They're my two options. That's it. That's what's happening.
That's how you protect a young quarterback too. That's exactly how you protect a young quarterback.
And a faulty offensive line, which is what they have. And a faulty defense, which is also what they have. So you keep the defense sat on the side. You keep DeAndre Hopkins downfield where he's the most dangerous. Your quarterback has less reads that he has to do, because all he has to say is, like, is DeAndre Hopkins open? Nah, kind of, and then just fucking launch the ball in the air. Or Derrick Henry's running the ball up the middle. Like, that's what's going on. Will Levis, great first game. I'm going to need to see it over the course of the season with Will Levis, because I think what a lot of people said was his inconsistency is a problem. We know he has the talent. Let's see how his consistency holds up.
Yeah. So with all of that said, give me the Titans +3.
Give me the Titans +3 as well. I don't think the Steelers can move the ball efficiently enough to keep D-Hop and Henry off the field for long enough.
All right. Well, Maddie, we're going to have a pretty fun week in football. We get to watch. Who doesn't want to watch Taylor Heineke versus Jaron Hall? Yeah, that was what everybody was looking forward to in the beginning of the season.
The Falcons started Taylor Heineke. Oh my fucking god! It took them enough time. I know they lost, but fuck me, about time. They better start him again this week.
Well, that's what it looks like. That it's going to be Taylor Heineke versus the Vikings.
Fantasy people don't seem to think it is. He's projected to score 0, whereas Desmond Ritter is projected to score 13.
Oh, I fucking
hope.
I pray they play Desmond Ritter. I fucking pray they play Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, the Vikings might actually have the best quarterback in the game if they play Desmond Ritter.
Which is scary because it'll be the kid's first start. When I see everybody beating up Jaron Hall, and they're like, he kind of looked shook coming into the game last week. And it's like, okay, 1, he wasn't expecting to play. 2, both times he got the ball, he was pinned against his own end zone. Like, of course the kid looks uncomfortable, but he did hit a strike right down the middle to fucking TJ Hawkinson. So, like, maybe. And then they're like, well, that fumble. Yeah, that was his first drop back. That kid got 0 chance to feel that game out before the edge rush came around the corner. And you know that the Packers were pinning their ears back when they seen Jaron Hall in that game.
Yeah, I think Jaron Hall is, again, an unfair assessment. An unfair assessment on Jaron Hall going into this game.
I've watched him, and what I tell you is he's accurate, he controls the huddle, and he reads the defense, and he's pretty athletic. If he can put it all together, and this is the thing, like every NFL quarterback or player has traits. That's why they're in the NFL, right? If he can put it all together, he's got a chance to do something. But who knows? Like, he's a 5th-round pick, 25-year-old guy from BYU. So, but Kevin O'Connell seems to really like him, but I don't think the Vikings were ready for him to play at all this year.
No, not with Kurt playing the way that he was playing either.
And he's Mr.
Also, really sad
and then Kurt. He got hurt.
Yeah, really sad for Kurt. Would it have been worth, just one question before we go? It's been something that I've been thinking about. You guys were kind of dominating that game. Would it have maybe been, do you think teams should be quicker to bench their players in a game that they're dominating?
No, we were only up by 14 points when Kirk got hurt.
14 points where the Packers didn't look like they were doing anything. Look, I'm not saying that they should have.
But it's a game that we should have been winning by 30 at that point too. Like, and right before Kirk got hurt, we were up by 21, and the Packers went right down the field and scored a touchdown. Yeah,
I don't think they should have benched Kirk either. I just, with these teams that especially have injury issues, so teams like the 49ers, should they be maybe load managing their players a little bit better?
If I'm the 49ers, I protect Christian McCaffrey at all costs.
Yeah. That whole, it's almost like we predicted that the 49ers would have injuries and that's what would derail their season at the start. Just saying that happened. Just saying that happened.
Hey, Debo's been out for a couple of weeks too, so it doesn't help at all.
Yeah, exactly. So Debo's out. Trent Williams is out. Christian McCaffrey's hurt. Brock Purdy had a concussion. They would have been
and Bosa held out, so he doesn't look like himself right now.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk more about the 49ers going into another show.
All right, Maddie. Well, we did it, and we stayed under an hour, which makes my life a whole lot easier when it comes to running these things. So that is awesome. Pretty exciting trade deadline for the fact that nobody thought anything was going to happen.
Yeah, it was good. There was a lot of stuff at the start of the week where we were like, oh, D-Hop's going to go, Henry's going to go. We thought there were going to be some big trades, and then everything went silent, and then all of a sudden everything just blew out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, the Commanders helped us out, though. And if you're Ron Rivera, you got to walk in and go, wait, we don't have either of my edge guys?
To be fair, he probably didn't know. Probably hasn't realized. He probably will go into the training facility in a couple of days and not realize as well. Just the way he's
Touche.
been looking as a head
Touche.
coach for a while.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed Thursday's night's game. We'll see you again on Sunday for our pregame show. Make sure you follow us for the picks. And by Sunday, I will have my record back and up for all of you guys. But I did pretty damn good this last week. I bombed the week before, but I did pretty damn good this week.
I was happy this week also.
All right, guys. And we picked a lot of the same games, Maddie, so it doesn't surprise me. We don't do that all the time. So that's like when we did it, I didn't have a problem with it because, you know, we both pick some of the same games, but we'll go different on some of the games too. So I like that last week that the picks were a lot of the same, but we did have a couple that were different.
Yeah, we just don't talk to each other unless it's on these podcasts. So, you know, like we're not actually really that friends in real life, guys. Like I've never spoken to Jay outside of this podcast box right now. So we really don't know what's happening at all.
As we always say, I just messaged him during the game, but yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.